Calling this special council meeting to order. Today is May 14th, 2013. If Councilor Gomes would lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor. The clerk will lead. Item 1 is communication.
Communication. Council President Duarte to City Clerk Arruda requesting that a special City Council meeting be called for Wednesday, May 15th, 2013 at 7 p.m. for the submittal of the FY14 City of New Bedford budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. At this time, I would designate Councilor Gonzalez and Councilor Bousquet to escort the mayor to the chambers. While they're doing that, we'll take a quick recess.
5-minute recess.
5-minute recess. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Call this meeting back to order. Councilor Gonzalez.
Mr. President, the Honorable Mayor Mitchell.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to start off informally this year and just let everybody, I'm going to put water here in the spirit of Marco Rubio because I think I'm going to need it. I got the generic brand, Brian. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. President Duarte, city councilors, department heads, and residents of the great city of New Bedford. A municipal budget is a statement of policy priorities in light of present and forecasted economic conditions. From my first day in office, I promised that fiscal prudence would be a hallmark of my administration. In the times we live, it is imperative to govern with a steady hand on the wheel, to navigate the economic crosscurrents whose intensity has not let up since the fiscal fall of 2008, while preparing at the same time to seize opportunities that will make us stronger in the long run. Consider the conditions our city faces. Each of us knows retired seniors in our city living on fixed incomes. They comprise a significant portion of our households. They are fighting each month to make ends meet and to pay tax and insurance and utility bills that allow them to remain in their very own homes. Working families throughout our city also continue to struggle as they face the threat of job loss or reduced income for breadwinners. And middle-class households with good jobs might be tempted to relocate to other communities should our tax burden increase. With the bottoming out of real estate values, revenue growth remains sluggish. This year, the total amount of general fund revenue available to fund operations is forecast to increase about 2.6% from the level approved last year by the City Council, but the lion's share of the new funds come in the form of state aid. Meanwhile, the city must continue to guard against a range of specific fiscal threats that have been simmering for a while. You all know these. Budget decisions by the prior administration on furlough policy, on fire department staffing grants, on collective bargaining, and on environmental cleanups may have been made with the best of intentions, but they have forced the city into long-term structural constraints. And then there are the problems we have uncovered in our school system. As much as I am proud of the current school administration's work in rooting out antiquated and deficient practices created by years of mismanagement, we need to deal with the fiscal implications of those practices. So we've been dealt a difficult hand. The trick, however, is to play the hand skillfully so that we can avoid larger problems and to set ourselves up better for the future. What's needed is prudent fiscal stewardship, and that requires, in my view, at this time, 4 things fundamentally: holding the line on spending, finding more efficiencies, especially by reorganizing government to use limited resources more efficiently and effectively, squarely facing up to immediate challenges, especially in our school system, and 4, addressing unmet needs that have been long put off while planning for a rainy day. Today, I am submitting for your consideration, councilors, a fiscal 2014 municipal budget for the city of New Bedford, which achieves all 4 of these goals. In developing the FY14 budget, we worked hard to live within our current means and to spend only what we have. So like last year, I'm offering you a budget that is essentially level funded. It would therefore require no change in the tax levy and minimal growth in overall spending. Total general fund expenditures would equal $262.8 million, excluding enterprise funds. This represents a 1.7% increase over the revised FY13 budget. The operating cost of city departments increases only by 1.5%, and the school department by just 1.7%. Moreover, general government unclassified expenditures are reduced by 6%. The mayor's office budget has been downsized through the elimination and reassignment of positions, but generally across city government, it's essentially steady as she goes. The real challenge in the long run will be to restrain the fixed costs of providing employee health care and pensions. When combined, these costs account for more than $61 million, roughly a quarter of our entire budget. Holding the line on these costs in the long run and crafting a sensible, balanced budget blueprint has been made far easier this year with the hiring of our new CFO, Ari Skye, the first person to hold that position in more than 7 years, and thanks to the City Council's approval of that position, it has been money well spent. In an era of general belt-tightening, our city government has no choice, but to find ways to deliver better services with existing resources. We need to make the most of what we have and make sure taxpayers are getting more value for the support that they give government. That is why, after careful consultation with several departments, I am proposing a departmental reorganization to improve coordination and lay the groundwork for additional streamlining of operations and efficiencies in the years ahead. But we're beginning with some major restructuring. First, the budget proposes to put an end to New Bedford's dubious distinction as perhaps the only municipality in the Commonwealth that operates what are essentially 2 separate public works departments. The Department of Public Infrastructure and the Department of Public Facilities will no longer exist in their present form under the budget that is being submitted to you today. Going forward, each department will take on distinct assignments so that it is clear to the public and to city employees alike who is responsible for what. Many responsibilities that have been shared in the past will be rationalized. For example, snowplows. Snowplow crews assigned to the north end of the city will now work for the same managers assigned to the south end of the city. Not exactly a novel idea. Today's arbitrary lines of responsibility for sidewalks, tree trimming, and other work on streets and public places will also be redrawn appropriately. In broad terms, DPI will take over the traditional assignments of a public works department, retaining its name and its leadership under Ron LaBelle as the new Commissioner of Public Infrastructure. New Bedford will finally have a one-stop shop for maintenance and development of the city's rights-of-way. In the case of DPF, the new department under Director Ken Blanchard will take over responsibility for city buildings and city vehicles so that we can implement the capital improvement plan now being developed by Ari Skye, as well as reform the operation of the city's garage. It will be known as the Department of Facilities and Fleet Management. Second, I propose to consolidate the Department of Community Development and the Planning Department. Under the capable leadership of Pat Sullivan as Director of Planning and Community Development, the new Department of Planning and Community Development will coordinate our investments in neighborhoods with the city's overall planning agenda. This follows a model used in many cities, quite successful, especially in cities like Lowell and others that have gained efficiencies in their planning exercise and their planning functions along the way. We are also continuing to invest in new approaches that can save the city significant money in the years ahead at minimal upfront cost. The CityStat program launched last year has produced a wealth of knowledge about our departmental operations and has allowed us to begin to compare our departments with those in similar communities. In the coming year, we will begin to implement operational reforms based on the data that we have collected. The CityStat program itself is being reformed by centralizing its function, the CityStat function, in the office of the CFO rather than splitting the responsibility between MIS in the mayor's office, as was done in last year's budget. I'm firmly convinced that along the way, I am firmly convinced that the clean, renewable energy is in our future, both in terms of the way we live as well as the impact on our budget. The impact of green energy technologies in our city will be multifaceted and far-reaching, and we're already seeing signs of that. Our future, as we see it now, in the city's ongoing effort to make New Bedford the epicenter of offshore wind is complemented by our efforts to bring solar energy to municipal buildings. For this reason, I have chosen to continue to make energy initiatives a focus of my budget proposal. The Office of Energy Efficiency has proven instrumental over the past year in pushing forward with the city's aggressive solar power program. A major new solar farm recently broke ground at our water treatment plant, and another project is soon to get underway at New Bedford High School. Taxpayers will benefit from the electricity cost savings from these and other projects that are in the pipeline over the course of 20 years and beyond. The Energy Office is ramping up efforts through a so-called performance-based contracting initiative to rein in lighting, heating, and cooling costs at our nearly 100 city-owned buildings. The initiatives pursued by the Energy Office today are going to help us hold down property tax bills tomorrow, in my view. I would like to speak now to the situation in our public school system, both in general terms and more narrowly on budgetary matters. More than at any other time in our city's history, we are at a pivot point in our schools. I began my term last year on the receiving end of a threat from the state that unless our schools change dramatically, the state would take over the system. A state takeover, any way you look at it, would have been a major black eye. Since then, we have charted a dramatically different course. The installment of interim superintendent Mike Shea has stabilized the district in ways that we could only have hoped for. Confidence is being restored in administrators, teachers, and parents, and as a culture of accountability has been introduced throughout the system. This is especially evident when it comes to budgetary matters. When the last school administrator mistakenly undercounted the number of low-income students, Mike Shea got to the bottom of it. Similarly, when the last school administration could not explain the disturbing discrepancies in payroll this past fall, the new school financial team led by business manager Barry Haskell worked to expose a $3.5 million budget gap created when more than 50 positions were found to have been left unbudgeted. The problem was brought into the light of day promptly before the fiscal consequences got out of control. Today, I propose to do what we are paid to do as public servants, namely to deal with collective problems head-on, even if they are not of our own creation. Let us support the diligent, high-minded efforts of Superintendent Shea, Business Manager Haskell, and other financial officials to squarely face up to the financial challenges of our school system and end the old ways, and most importantly, end the old ways of doing business the old way once and for all. Specifically, I am filing a funding measure with the City Council which will tap unused free cash balances to close the $3.5 million school budget gap, a measure that, in other words, will not require the city to reach into its rainy day fund or to seek a tax increase. We have the money to do this on hand. Neither the City Council nor this administration created these problems, but we need to deal with them. We don't have the luxury of saying that we've already done enough and then just walk away from it. Think about it. If the New Bedford-Fairhaven Bridge became stuck in the open position tomorrow, we wouldn't say, well, officials in the past didn't maintain it well enough, and we're tired of throwing good money at bad, so you know what? We're done. We'll just leave it as it is. We wouldn't do that. Just as our residents need and expect to have an operating bridge, however, they need and expect to have a school system that provides a quality education to our children, even if someone else caused the problems in the school system. We are, of course, talking about a lot of money. I share your misgivings. I share your misgivings, and those of many residents, about having to spend it all to address a problem created by poor management. More than anything else, people rightfully want to know, as many counselors have wondered aloud, whether these problems are being fixed once and for all, or will the filling of a large school operating deficit be simply an annual exercise? I'm here to say that that is the right question. Over the years, the City Council has complained that the school district's presentation of the budget has been unclear, and I'm here to say that you've been right. For far too long, the school department's budget procedures have been as clear as mud to the City Council and the public alike. Both deserve better. But I'm also here to point out that those days have ended. Any casual observer of the school system would admit that things are fundamentally different now than they were when I entered office. We wasted no time in making a necessary leadership change. Historic revisions to the collective bargaining agreement have been implemented. We are putting in place new accounting systems that will track every dollar. The Munis system that has been installed on this side of city government is being installed on the other side of city government, namely the school system. Bad old practices are being abolished left and right. Just as importantly, I submit that you, the City Council, have not seen greater transparency in the last year in the school system than in the last year in the school system. The City Council has already received more information about the status of school finances than it has in many years. You have had productive formal and informal sessions with Mike Shea. You will continue to have them. We have also attempted to answer all of your questions about school system operations because, frankly, that's how it should be. As mayor and as the school committee chair, I am convinced that I am committed to making sure that the City Council receives this same level of reliable, clear information, not at the 11th hour in June, but over the course of the fiscal year, as it's done in other municipalities. It will take some time for our school system to become everything we hope it to be and believe it can be. Our school system did not develop either its financial problems or poor student performance overnight, but things are moving in the right direction. Mike Shea has shown each of us how good leadership can make a difference even in a large organization. Our incoming superintendent, Dr. Pia Durkin, is widely considered to be one of the best in Massachusetts. After 7 years in the city of Attleboro, her leadership transformed that school district from a community liability to a source of civic pride. People are moving into Attleboro because of the school district now. She can do the same here in New Bedford. It is vitally important, though, for us to make sure that Dr. Durkin hits the ground running when she takes command in July. That is why my budget funds the school department at the necessary statutorily required level of $109 million, the net school spending number, no more, no less. Dr. Durkin and the school financial team have said that they can get the job done with this level of resources. It will not be easy. It will mean considerable restructuring and reform throughout the school department. We will need to make hard choices. But we most of all, at some level, need to rely on the professionalism, the experience, and the judgment of proven school administrators. And so I would therefore ask the City Council to join me in supporting their assessment of what is necessary to fund our schools at a very critical point in our school system's history. Finally, knowing the City Council's strong commitment to bolstering the city's reserves, a commitment that I share, I have taken great pain to restrict the use of the city's certified cash balance to only the most pressing needs. Because of this restraint, in fiscal year 2014, we will be able to increase the city's rainy day fund by a full third, from $5.8 million to just under $7.7 million. This is a good thing. I'm filing today, separate from this budget, a transfer measure for this very purpose. Having set these funds aside in reserve, I'm also proposing to use a small fraction of our free cash, a little more than $500,000, in fiscal year 2014 for modest but critical one-time capital needs that we should not, in good conscience, put off any longer. Examples of such needs include long overdue upgrades of security systems at the city's parking garages, its libraries, and its city offices. Restroom renovations at public beaches and the repaving of the North End Police Station are also included. These are, quite simply, things that need to get done. They follow, each of these items follow on the council's recent approval of more than $1.1 million for the replacement of police cruisers, snow plows, and ambulance and other fleet vehicles. Again, things that needed to get done. Despite the necessity of a cautious approach to the budget and the long-term vulnerabilities that I have presented, don't get me wrong, I am confident in our ability to navigate our way through financial difficulties. That is because the prospects for New Bedford as a place to live, work, invest, raise a family remain very, very strong. I draw strength from the knowledge that not only does New Bedford have assets that other cities lack, but that we are making the most of those very assets. We have a lot going on right now, and it is a very exciting time in the life of our city. We just broke ground on the Custom House Square Park, which is gaining in popularity and interest by the day, even as it's constructed, and will, in a short time, become a destination for tourists and residents and office workers alike in our downtown. Just last week, we witnessed the groundbreaking of the $100 million New Bedford Marine Commerce Terminal. With the construction of the terminal, the prospects for New Bedford playing a critical role in the burgeoning offshore wind energy industry have never been better. Word is quietly getting out across the nation and across the globe that New Bedford can be a key launching pad for America's new offshore wind industry. And as I know that City Council President Duarte will attest, when we visited Germany last month to check out places like Cuxhaven and Bremerhaven, we were very well received, not just because our hosts were hospitable, but because people saw New Bedford as a very competitive place to do their business, and that is very exciting to me. We are a city on the move, and despite our fiscal challenges, I, like you, remain bullish on our great city. Thank you for your consideration of my budget submission tonight. I look forward to working with each of you in the weeks ahead and encourage you to bring any and all questions to me about what I have proposed to you tonight. Thank you very much.
Clerk will read item 2.
Order appropriating $262,741,207 from ordinary revenue and municipal receipts of fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013 and ending June 30th, 2014 for the payment of current expenses of various municipal departments to be referred to the Quasi-Committee of the Whole.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 3.
Order appropriating $757,067 in 12 equal monthly increments from airport receipts of FY14 in the airport budget to be referred to the Quasi-Committee of the Whole.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 4.
Order appropriating $19,615,870 in 12 equal monthly increments from wastewater receipts of FY14 in the DPI wastewater budget to be referred to the Quasi-Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 5.
Order appropriating $11,340,332 in 12 equal monthly increments from water receipts of FY14 in the DPI water budget to be referred to the quasi-committee of the whole.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 6.
Order appropriating $44,400 now standing to the credit of the account of CCDA Traffic Handicap Parking as follows: $0 to the Commission for Citizens with Disabilities Salaries and Wages, $41,450 to the Commission for Citizens with Disabilities Charges and Services, and $2,950 to the Commission for Citizens with Disabilities Supplies and Materials to be referred to the quasi-committee of the whole.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Seeing no further business.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
I got good sea legs from a year of trying to find my footing. And I'm missing my home even more than I should. You're as nice an idea as the ocean is blue, especially if you were true. So much destruction in your wake, I woke and watched you dreaming. So there are no mistakes and only variations on a theme. And you can hide a child in the body of a man, and you can take more than you think you can. Forget all the lessons we learned, you should have been good to me. Forget all the lessons we learned, you should have been true. Forget all the lessons we learned, the lessons we learned. You could have been good to me.
Music is Addie's life. She and artists like her deserve a chance to make a living from it. When you download music illegally, you're stealing from musicians, songwriters, and people like Addie, who are denied payment for work that is rightfully theirs. Do what's right. Don't download illegal copies of music, movies, or software.